So Ethereum has done a great job at outperforming Bitcoin for the past weeks, because for the past days Ethereum had a pullback to the downside, and that was immediately followed by a nice and swift recovery back to the upside, and even marked a new high right here in the daily timeframe charts for Ethereum at around 4.2k. However, Bitcoin on the other hand has also had a pullback to the downside, but it wasn't followed by a nice and immediate recovery to the upside, and we haven't even marked a new high for Bitcoin in this time frame. So it is clear, and we can actually draw conclusions now that currently in this phase of the cycle, we are in phase two, which is the Ethereum phase, where Ethereum is outperforming Bitcoin, and we hear talks about the flippening, which in this case we aren't hearing talks about the flippening just yet, but it is clear, we can conclude that we are right now in phase two, where Ethereum has been outperforming the Bitcoin price, as you guys can see in the charts right here. So yeah, that is a good thing. We're going to be talking about the Ethereum chart and what we can expect next, but this is a very, very good thing, especially to us altcoin holders, because right now this Ethereum rally has led to the Bitcoin dominance collapsing to the downside. Yes, the Bitcoin dominance has been collapsing for the past weeks, and this is actually, to me, a signal for the beginning of alt season, because if we move back into the price history of the Bitcoin dominance, right over here, this was an Ethereum season. This was an Ethereum season. And then after this initial dump for the Bitcoin dominance, it was followed by a nice alt season right here, where you guys saw a dramatic crash, or a sharp and steep crash to the downside for the Bitcoin dominance. And this entire thing was basically alt season, where every single altcoin was skyrocketing to the moon. Right here was the Ethereum season. This phase right here was altcoin season. And now moving to the current time frame we're in right now, we are now seeing Ethereum outperform Bitcoin over here. And then that just leads us to our next expectation, where alt season is going to happen somewhere over here. So yeah, in this case, we should expect the Bitcoin dominance to crash to 42% at the peak of alt season, but that is still far from now. I think personally, alt season is going to happen perhaps by the end of this year, somewhere in quarter four. If we go by the playbook, if we go by what the rotations are saying right here. So again, phase one, the entire year last year, it was Bitcoin season. Now it's Ethereum season. So I'm expecting this to last for a couple time before eventually seeing the large caps pump, and then eventually alt season. So this entire money flow, in my opinion, is gonna last an entire year. So now we are in phase two. The rest, phase three, large caps, phase four, alt seasons, that's gonna happen quarter four. So what can we expect right now for Ethereum? Because clearly right now we are in phase two. What's next? Well, obviously I'm expecting Ethereum to continue pumping in the next couple of weeks and even months actually, until we move to the previous cycle's all-time high right here, and that is at around 4.9k. So I'm expecting Ethereum for the next months to continue pumping until we touch 4.9k. We're going to be met with some slight resistance or heavy resistance at this level, because again, that was the previous cycle's all-time high. So do be cautious once Ethereum touches 4.9k. Then after we get rejected, we could potentially expect a nice bounce back to the upside, like we did after this pullback, and then continue the move to the upside and essentially form a new all-time high. So yeah, for my price targets for Ethereum, if you guys are wondering about our price targets for Ethereum, well, basically in the cycle, we're expecting Ethereum to pump to this red box over here, and that ranges from $7,300 to $11,500. $7,300 is our realistic and grounded price expectation or prediction for Ethereum in this cycle, while $11 or $10,000 is the optimistic expectation for Ethereum. So if you guys want the average of these two, we're expecting a $9,000 Ethereum in the cycle as the average target, but again, 7.3k is the realistic price target for Ethereum. So far we are looking good in the structure part of Ethereum in the long term. As you guys can see, we have been touching resistance right here for a couple months now, since 2024. Actually, it's almost a year now that we have been testing this resistance at $4,000, and we finally broke above again this resistance level. As you guys can see, after many times of testing, we finally broke out. So right now we're just waiting for a weekly candle close above this level, and once we do, that is extremely bullish, and that would signal that we are now ready to move to the previous cycle's all-time high for Ethereum. That is why we have seen the bears shorting Ethereum get totally wrecked, because a big mistake they made was shorting Ethereum at this resistance that we have been testing multiple times. And that is a big mistake, which is shorting Ethereum at resistance, which we have been testing multiple times, because multiple touch points basically mean that resistance is weakening and the likelihood of us breaking to the upside is increasing. So that's what we have seen for Ethereum right here. We broke out and we're just waiting for a weekly time frame candle close. So yeah, so far we're looking good. We're in phase 2 of the cycle, and I'll just be waiting for our altcoin bags to pump essentially. So if this video has been helpful to you guys, don't forget to drop like on this video and to smash subscribe. Help us reach 5,000 subs, and I'll see you guys in the next video. So peace out. See you guys.